Collaborative response has, I think as a school, it's made all our teams tighter, like better. So as a school, I think we're more
unified
for sure.
And it's a set aside time where we get to have these conversations about our kids. And it's not that it's an isolated time, because we always talk about our kids and what we can do and what they're struggling with or what they're doing really well at. But I think it's a set time where we can really problem solve and support. And that, like, the gift of time is the biggest gift, where you get to do that and dedicate uninterrupted time to your kids. Like, that's something that you don't see. And I know we're a lot more effective in our teaching and our assessment, and knowing that we're meeting their levels for reading comprehension, and we're able to adapt so many things because we have these conversations. Like, that's a big load off when we can just share and talk.
We streamline, like we're looking every year or every term at our outcomes for something, and we're getting better at streamlining our assessments so that they actually reflect what the outcomes are saying. So for numeracy, we've really changed our math assessment so that there are word problems everywhere where you have to apply the STRAT method, I think it's called.
I'm hoping we can see the improvements when we meet in these student support meetings, when we're making our notes of what we're noticing in, say, in December, what we're trying to, the supports that we work on in our meetings every week. We'll hope to bring up those kids that are lacking in certain skills and literacy or numeracy, because we've talked about them, we've seen where they are, and then we can have that almost like that 5-week checkup. Okay, how are we doing? What do you notice? Have you tried this? What do you think about that? It's like kind of holding you accountable.
Because we do everything the same. For us, grade 5 is a community. As much as she has her class that she reports on and I have my class, they are ours. And I think when we get to the student support, it's easy because they are ours. The whole
so we
collective.
We can realistically talk about each other's kids,
right?
Because we see them all the time.
And so I think, in the hallway, they're all ours. And I think that's how we see it. So when I see the student support, it's just how much more, it's just more of ours that we're trying to support.
There's been a huge difference between before collaborative response at our school and then after. So we have gained a huge amount of confidence as a staff, and we've moved the needle a huge amount in terms of our sports for students. We've been much more able to articulate and put into place specific supports, given us the ability to just kind of wrap our arms around every single student in our school in a much more collaborative and a much more responsive way.
It's like astounding to me. And I said to someone the other day, it has been, in the very beginning when you're presenting that we're going to do Leader in Me and we're going to do this collaborative response model and we're going to do that, there's that part of you that thought, oh my goodness, that is going to be, we're never, right? But I said, it just never felt like I was pushed. It never felt like it was
just natural.
I never felt overwhelmed, like, oh my goodness, I have so much more to do. It
actually provided us time to do what we've always wanted to.
Yeah.
In terms of supports for students. And that time of to be able to talk about students. And so there was a little bit of a transition in terms of getting staff to be solution focused. There's never just one, right? If you're having difficulty with behaviors about one student, there's another student who's having similar challenges. And whether that be behaviorally, academically, socially, emotionally, there's somebody else in our community who's struggling with that as well. So when you look at it from the problem instead of the student, it makes a huge difference. And I think that shift in our paradigm has changed the way we function. Well, they're super valuable for us as well, because we want to know what's going in the classroom. We want our finger on the pulse of our students and how our teachers are relating to those students and how they're being supported. And not only that, we need to provide support for our teachers. So if they're the ones in front of our students, then we need to be the ones behind them, supporting them and making sure that they have what they need so that they can give their all to the students. Like, we had a meeting this morning, for example, with a different grade where I learned that 2 students who haven't been on my radar for inclusive learning are now on my radar, and I wouldn't have known that without being in this meeting, because they're the under the radar kids. They're at grade level, but they're not. There's something not quite there, and I wouldn't have known that I needed to put their name forward without that meeting. So it's incredibly valuable for us as well, and then we get to share ideas with you guys, because we only meet as a school once a month and with student focused conversation, but you guys meet every week. So when we meet with you guys, then we get ideas from you in terms of what you're doing to support students. That knowing that we have a new principal coming in, it didn't change how we function as a staff, and it just allowed us to kind of showcase exactly what we are able to do, and just kind of how we are and how we work together as a staff. And I think it actually enhanced our, because now we want to show, we want to be able to say, hey, look at what this can do, because it's been so incredibly valuable, and each of us know how valuable it's been who have been here for quite a while, and we want you to buy in. So it's been a good spell job. I'm in.
When I first learned about the whole system, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to let it go. But once I understood how it all fit together, and I could see how it was all fitting together, it made a huge difference. Because, and I think I've expressed this more than once, that it makes a difference to know that we're kind of covered in the different areas of focus. Because I think oftentimes what happens is you think, oh, well, we have to do something about literacy, and so we'll create a system for that. And then, oh, but there's numeracy, and you have to do this. And then, oh, there's safe and caring schools, and we need to do so. But when you have the whole staff that's kind of partnered to cover those areas, or grouped to and then you have leaders in each one of those, and then you meet with the leaders of each one of those, you know that things are being looked after, and that everything is going to be shared, and that you've got some expertise that's being built in each area, and that expertise is being shared in our professional learning opportunities. So for me as a leader, it gives me great comfort. It's one of those, okay, so no, we don't have to start scattering or wondering or adding that one more thing, because it's actually already covered, and we've created a focus as opposed to trying to do everything. We look to see what the most important thing is and focus on that. And of course, that's always kids, but we need to look at where our kids need this support.
And with our APTs, I think having that focus allows, and Jana, you said it perfectly, each of us have our finger in every pie, but we're focused on one pie. And so we know that somebody else has got this and they're going to share it, and somebody else has got this piece and they're going to share it. So it's not all on me to do, or it's not all on everybody else to do, right? I've got my piece of it too. And then it's just the synergy between the leader and me, and the collaborative response is just, they just fit. They just fit together so well. And we've just been able to kind of interweave them so that they support each other. So it's constantly evolving, whether it be through the software, through conversation, about where we're going.
I also think this time is really good for somebody new walking in, thinking about, look at all the support that I'm getting when I am either new in a school or new in a grade, and you get time to either look at, like, in almost a mentorship situation where you get time with somebody else at your grade level to talk and plan and bounce ideas off of. I think that's something that is very uncommon.
One of the biggest pieces for us to keep collaborative response moving forward is when we have new staff. And it's kind of glaring when you get somebody in who's like, no idea what's going on, and you're explaining all of these pieces that fit into play, and then all of a sudden you're making connections that you didn't realize were there before because you're having to re-explain. And I mean, we've been fortunate or unfortunate, as the case may be, that we have 4 people going on maternity leave this year. So we have the opportunity to have a look at those structures 4 different times in 4 different ways. And they all bring different questions that we need to answer, and they kind of give us a different perspective and a new kind of way to examine what it is that we're doing in our practices.
If I share, like, this is what we get to do, and what? Like, what a gift, right? And it's like, I can't imagine now leaving. And I'm like, it works
Right.
so well. Why would you mess with it? Don't mess with it.